Welcome to our today's webinar. We are living in a connected world. Devices of all kinds are interacting to deliver the best possible end user experience. The Internet of Things already exists. We buy goods using cashless payment systems. When we order online, we expect delivery at the same or at the next day. Working from remote has become the new normal for many organizations. Examples are endless, and the technical innovation happens at a true exponential pace. The adoption of new innovations, however, is based on the end user's trust. Secure infrastructure and data protection are essential attributes to build and retain this trust. At the heart of organizations, SAP-based products process the most sensitive data. Amongst credit card information, they contain customer and employee records, individual pricing, to only name a few. SAP is the leading software provider for enterprise application, providing the software solutions to more than 400,000 customers across the globe. Not enough. SAP's customers distribute 78% of world's food consumption and 82% of world medical equipment. The SAP NetWeaver and its successor, SAP S/4HANA, are the best-in-class enterprise applications. And for many organizations, those represent a critical part of their infrastructure. Although the product itself is secure, a little lack of care can lead to an open door that can be exploited by attackers. Insecure configuration, missing patches, or vulnerabilities residing in customers' coding can lead to serious danger. And to be certain, attackers will exploit known vulnerabilities unless those have been eliminated. It would be irresponsible not to treat SAP security with the necessary care. Fortinet and SecurityBridge have worked together to combine the existing threat intelligence solutions to build the foundation for the next generation of application security for SAP. Let me introduce you to the speakers of today's session. First off, we have Matthias Wickler, Global Manager of SAP Sales, accompanied by his colleague Julian Peterson, Global SAP System Architect at Fortinet. Both will introduce us in the first part of the session to the security capabilities of the Fortinet products concerning SAP. Followed by our Chief Technology Officer, Ivan Mans. He will speak about the SecurityBridge platform and give us an insight in the combined use case. My name is Christoph Nagy, and I'm glad to be your host. Let us dive into a typical SAP running organization, the example quote here. Many organizations are structured by so-called competence clusters. So you find people with experience in network and infrastructure in the network team. The security team takes care about audit and security metrics across all the divisions. And the SAP teams mainly speaks to the business departments. However, they are not directly interlinked, although they are speaking to each other on a frequent case. So let's look at what happens if SAP is under attack. It's very likely that the network and infrastructure team spots an anomaly in the network because they are looking at the logs and all information that they have at hand. If they find an anomaly, they reach out to the security departments, which is a manual case in most of the scenarios. Well, together they realize the attacker is focusing on SAP. So they involve the SAP experts, subject matter experts of SAP. After all experts are coming together in a room and can form an adequate response to the attack. However, the problem is a lot of important time has been lost. Together, we are trying to solve this problem. And before I hand it over to Matthias to explain us about the Fortinet products, I will pull up a statement, a pre-recorded statement from Brandon Newman, a former CISO of two DAX 30 companies, who gave us a comment on the integration.
During my time as an information security executive, I've led many SAP security initiatives. And while they provided much needed security for the SAP landscapes, they were still siloed and not effectively integrated with the overall security architecture due to technology limitations. The combination of Fortinet and SecurityBridge is truly exciting. It will allow for correlation use cases between network and application logs, and also the potential for automated response actions at different layers of the architecture. So I look forward to seeing how this progresses in the future, and I think it's an important milestone for moving SAP security forward.
Very exciting. With that, I'd like to hand it over to Matthias and Julia.
Wonderful. Thank you, Christoph. So let's talk a little bit about Fortinet. I'd like to provide you a short corporate overview about Fortinet before we dive into the SAP solutions that we are delivering. So in case you have not heard about Fortinet, which would not surprise me if you come from an SAP background, Fortinet is a global leader in cybersecurity. In fact, we're the #1 cybersecurity company worldwide. Our company ships 30% of the world's firewalls into the market. And as you can imagine, if you want to protect enterprises from attacks and the applications, it's important to know what is hitting the network at the enterprise. And therefore, it's important to have a broad range of devices deployed in the world's network, on the internet, basically. And that's where we are the #1. We have been founded about 20 years ago, and our billings reached the $3 billion mark at last calendar year, which is also our fiscal year. We're a very successful and profitable company. If you look at our security investment grade rating, which we have just received recently, this is absolutely outstanding in the cybersecurity industry. We drive and we support about 500,000 customers worldwide, which is almost or maybe a little more than SAP has today. And many of our customers are actually also customers that run SAP in the enterprise. About 70% of the Fortune 100 companies are running Fortinet. I would also like to mention that we have a security fabric, and within the fabric we have more than 50 products which are integrated and provide a seamless look and feel about various security areas. And that is what makes us successful, but I have a little more information about that in some of the next slides. So let's go to the next slide, please. And in order to basically drive our solutions into the market, we do rely on a partner network of about 60,000 partners worldwide. Fortinet itself is headquartered in California. We're actually a neighbor of the Apple headquarters, very close by. And we have 8,600 employees actually by now. And what makes us also really successful is the number of patents which drive innovation for our company. So we're leading in the amount of patents that we're driving as products into the industry. We are truly global. While our headquarters is in California, we have offices all around the globe in each and every country. We are present with people and offices. We also have development centers and also support centers that help to provide a follow the sun model to provide 24/7 enterprise support. Many of our one other area that we're driving into the market is, of course, knowledge about cybersecurity, which is driven through our NSE Institute, and lots of our cybersecurity trainings are actually available for free. So in case you want to browse in there, feel free to do so and go to the NSE Institute. On this slide, I also highlighted for you that Gartner has recognized Fortinet in various of their magic quadrants. So we're recognized as a leader in the network firewalls and WAN edge infrastructure magic quadrant, as well as for wired and wireless LAN, as well as for Zeem. In several others, we are mentioned, and as you can also see, some of our integrated products are also listed in Gartner's market guides. So we're a truly global player in the industry, and we're now looking into SAP and into the SAP enterprise as well. So the foundation for all of our solution really is the FortiOS, which is present in all of our products and which drive integration and automation. The huge benefit that we provide is that our tools, our solutions are available on premise as well as in the cloud, which makes especially SAP customers who are have to embrace the cloud. They're moving to S/4HANA, and there's lots of change in their digital path to the cloud. We help to seamlessly move SAP systems to the cloud with our solutions. So I don't want to mention some of the other areas that are listed here on the slide. Let's go into the and talk about the use cases that we have for SAP and specifically to enhance SAP security. So here's a snapshot of the use cases that we leverage based on the FortiGate, which is the core of the security fabric from Fortinet. It's a next generation firewall, and it basically helps protect SAP applications and also any other applications, but we are focusing certainly here on SAP, this team here on SAP. So we'll show you in the next slide. Wait before you go there. Wait, please go back, Christoph. We'll show you on one of the next slides what we mean and how we do that. But I wanted to also mention some of the other things we're able to do, which is the segmentation of the network and of the SAP landscape, as well as the SAP enterprise landscape, which is absolutely critical in order to mitigate the risk of attacks moving from one to other SAP landscapes. We're also doing content inspection, and Julian will be talking about that. What we're also providing is, of course, security monitoring, as well as intrusion prevention, which is also key. And above all of that, we provide various SSL services that help to protect attacks that are coming from the web, for example, in case you're using or deploying SAP Fiori apps, for example. So let's move to the next slide, Christoph, please. And I'd like to welcome Julian here and ask, so SAP has a network security map, which they're used to talk about security. But what they really don't use is or look at is network security. Why do you think SAP doesn't look at network security at all? I can't hear you.
So sorry, I was muted. So SAP itself is first of all a company which has created an application. So not an operating system or networking service. So first of all, it's only an application, and their primary goal and their focus relies on this application to bring security for this. I mean, it's big enough. So think about the SAP HANA, think about the NetWeaver stack, and all. It's huge, and also the cloud. And SAP cannot really think or doesn't have to focus on how customers build their networks, how they do segmentation, bring in security, and that's the reason why SAP says it's up to the customer to provide network-based security to their SAP systems.
Right. Yeah, that's good to know for all of the customers that there's a huge piece missing that helps customers to protect their systems from attacks from the network. So what we see here on this slide is basically the FortiGate, the web user interface from the FortiGate next generation firewall. So let's talk a little bit about application control, one of the features that we are driving. How does that specifically help SAP deployments and their customers to protect the systems from attacks?
So one of the most important key facts is visibility. So you need to know about what you have, and you need to also to see if there's something or a problem. Something you don't know about and something you can't see, you can't secure. Think about shadow IT. It has a huge impact in the security area. And what we can do with application control is we can have a look inside of the packet stream or in the network packets and can define or can specify if this is a certain protocol like SAP DIAG or is it HTTP. So a lot of companies doing filtering only on ports. So for example, HTTP uses often port 80. What we can do with that, not only looking at the ports which are used, we also look inside of the network packages which are transferred, and using specific, for example, Unix strings inside of a packet to detect, okay, this is SAP DIAG and not, for example, SAP router traffic. So we can detect it and make it visible to everyone who needs to know about it. In addition of that, we can also block something like that. So we have the capabilities to block certain protocols, but first of all, it's for visibility.
Right. So basically, many SAP systems are really closed behind closed walls, which makes them sometimes a bit inflexible to be used the way they could be used, right? Given new technology, and by basically being able to make SAP protocols visible and with that control them, we can maybe deploy or have SAP deployments more flexibly used by end users, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's really cool. So just wanted to add, all these features are available on premise in multi-cloud or hybrid environments. So now we've learned that we are able to understand and see SAP network packets. So we make them visible. So let's talk about the next slide, please. And here again, we see the next menu item in our FortiGate NextGen firewall. And what we're seeing or talking about here now is application inspection. So first we were able to make SAP traffic visible, and now we're talking a little bit about how we make it, how we block it. So how do we block that, Julian? Can you explain that a little bit?
Sure. So in the first, as you mentioned, we talked about to make something visible, but that doesn't secure your network packets. So everyone can send whatever he wants in a specific protocol way. but there are sometimes vulnerabilities in an application, so like always. And think about, for example, I think it was 1 or 2 years ago, there was a huge impact. This was called 10K Blaze. So at the end, it was a remote code execution via the RFC gateway within the SAP NetWeaver stack. The thing is that this is an intended functionality. So SAP wants to have this functionality, so you cannot block it always. So what SAP did long years ago, they integrated some ACLs. ACLs are a good way to bring security, but the thing is, sometimes vulnerability exists also before in the part of the software before it reaches the control of an ACL file. So there could be, for example, in the TCP stack, we had in the last 2 years, for example, huge impacts in IoT world, that you can attack with a malicious network packet. You can control the whole device after that. And what we can do with the IPS, we can have a look into the network traffic and filter out malicious traffic before it reaches the SAP system. So think about every company has a SAP router, which is exposed to the public. And if you put in an intrusion prevention in front of this, so we can prevent attacks before it comes to the SAP router and into the near of our SAP systems.
Yeah, that's cool. Thank you. So intrusion prevention signatures is really what's key in order to prevent SAP systems from potential exploits. I think what it also helps is with reducing the amount of patch cycles, right? You have to apply to SAP systems, so it can give you a bit more flexibility if you can basically filter out a vulnerability in the SAP system with one of the IPSs that we are providing. Right, Julian?
Yeah, exactly. So sure, please patch your systems as soon as you can. It's critical, but it can give you a bit more time to install these patches. So we can prevent this attack if it's released to the outside before it reaches the SAP system, and if you have it patched or not. So we can detect it and block it, for example. So like virtual patching, as you mentioned, exactly. But it's not like if you install patches on Windows on your SAP system. So this needs to be done in addition. So, but it's like a pre-patch.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's a pre-patch. I mean, it doesn't prevent you from patching SAP, but it gives you more time, and you may be able to patch it, a little later and realize the downtime of the SAP system sometime later. All right, thank you very much, Julian. So that was, I think, super interesting, and it's really key. So SecurityBridge is our Fortinet Technology Alliance partner, and I would like to hand over to Ivan now, who will show you how what we have just seen right now, how that is used in the SecurityBridge dashboard, and how these two worlds are basically coming together. I think this is super exciting, and I'm highly interested to see what Ivan has to say. Ivan.
Yes, thank you, Matthias. Thank you, Julian. And first of all, we're also very proud to be able to work together with Fortinet. But let me give you a little bit of an insight into what a security bridge is and what we do in a value add together with Fortinet. Now, on this slide, you see, the different capabilities that we have within Security Bridge, and the platform is an SAP certified add-on. So you basically implement Security Bridge within your existing SAP landscape. And the capability that we will talk and also even demo today is mainly focused on threat detection, where we will be communicating to the FortiGate instance from Fortinet. Now, next to threat detection, we also have a component that deals with vulnerability management. This is when you install any SAP system, even the latest and the greatest S4 environment, it is still not 100% secure by default. So you still have to run through a lengthy process to actually harden your system. So this is what we also take away with Security Bridge. We validate whether your system actually matches the guidelines provided by SAP, provided by the SAP user groups. Now, Matthias already mentioned, patches are super important. Yes, of course they are. Even though with the right, firewalling in place, you can reduce the risk, but it does not take away the risk. Now, SecurityBridge performs a validation of all the critical security nodes in your system. So with just a few clicks, you know exactly which critical patches are missing on which boxes. Now, code security is also vitally important. We know that more than 95% of all the security flaws that we've ever seen in SAP, they will find the root cause in coding flaws. This is why we've put a lot of emphasis on dealing with code security by design. So whenever programs are being newly developed, modified, imports of third-party transports, as soon as you basically compile code, we validate the code base to make sure that you're not introducing any backdoors, any other ABAP-based or Java-based or HANA-based vulnerabilities into the system. But today we will mainly shortly talk about threat detection. And Julian and I have actually been playing a little bit shortly before we were opening the call. So we're actually also very happy to showcase you one of the integration that we have in front of us. But maybe Julian, you could again shortly describe on how that integration now really works.
Sure, thanks, Ivan. So what I mentioned before, so we have this application control and our intrusion prevention, and this helps to prevent attacks against your SAP before on the network layer, so before it reaches your SAP system. The attacks can be from your local area network, like your client network or other servers, for example, from the internet or other WAN networks. So what is important with that, we can provide on the network level a segmentation which prevents attacks before they come to the SAP system. But not only that, think about, I mentioned in application control, we can filter certain protocols. So you can define if you only want to allow, for example, SAP Dike running through the client network to your SAP systems, which is not allowed from the internet, for example. So all of these can help you together to bring an easy to use security. And together with SecurityBridge, we have a great combination from the network and the SAP world to bring security there. And as Ivan already mentioned, I tried to attack Ivan, and yeah, let's see if Ivan have a chance to find out what I did in his SAP systems. Ivan, back to you.
Yes, thank you. And now we have to do a little bit of a juggling with the screen sharing, but that should work without a problem. Good. So what you now see in front of you is actually a Fiori Launchpad. So this is also, if you would install SecurityBridge Greenfield, this is exactly what you would see. Now, we have a number of capabilities, and that's what you see here on the bottom row. And we got an event monitor that deals with threat detection, security compliance monitor that deals with the hardening at the initial validation or an audit of your system. Then we, depending upon the time that we still have left, we can talk about interface traffic monitor. We can talk about patch management. But I think, Julian, and you did trigger me a little bit when you said, let's see if we actually saw that you've been trying to exploit one of our demo labs. So if I would open the event monitor, now this event monitor is your single pane of glass when it comes to all the events that happen within SAP landscape. And you may have a lot of systems. You may have a lot of production boxes, but also development boxes, acceptance sandboxes. And we apply the philosophy that we continuously monitor every single system in your landscape, because if there is an attempt to target your SAP landscape, and very often we also see that the less secured systems are clearly the ones that are the easiest to breach. Now, clearly, Julian, you've not been doing any attempts in the last 1 hour, and no, it is a little bit earlier. And indeed, here we see 5 intrusion events. Now, this is when SecurityBridge is actually connecting to FortiGate. We are using the FortiGate APIs in order to retrieve those alerts from the intrusion prevention system. And so that's exactly what Julian already spoke about. And I think, Julian, you can compliment me on exactly what you have been doing on these boxes. And we also see that some of your attempts, they have actually been dropped. And we know exactly, I think you must have triggered these scripts or these exploits from the US, and we see your IP address. If I will be clicking on one of those attack names, we're also linking to the threat encyclopedia from Fortinet, where you can get the exact details of what's behind such an attack. Now, in the majority of cases, all of these attempts would be dropped. They would not be reaching your actual SAP environment. Now, here we do have one where the security policy was set to detect but don't drop. And so the action actually arrived within the SAP system. And then very often, this is why we do speak about two separated silos. The network security team would not know about what does happen in SAP, but also vice versa. If someone monitoring the SAP system has no insight into a potential attempt even on the external network, it becomes very difficult to assess the true risk. And that's exactly what we're trying to bridge here. So if I were now just be copying the IP address from Julian, copy that into my clipboard, I go into the search, and I would be opening all the events, and I think I may have already created a quick filter. And so we're searching for the IP address. I'm searching for the time frame that was just before the opening of today's session. Click on the search button, and I will get to see all of the events that actually, Julian, you've been doing on our box. We see, for instance, if I scroll down, what have you been doing? You've been doing an RFC ABAP install and run, so you've done a code inject into the system. We can see that, but there's a Z program with a $triple sign. It's a code inject, and so you've definitely been doing things. We also see that you've been clicking a bit around. You've used table display. You downloaded data from the SAP user master. Clearly, it is a demo environment, and we're not doing a live hack on credit cards. Now, if I would be going, definitely as a security SOC analyst, I'm now going through the individual alerts. Now, if you would not have SecurityBridge in place, it would be very, very difficult to even identify those alerts because you would not really know what to look for. So on one side, we were now a bit supported by FortiGate, providing us the indication there was an attempt. And then SecurityBridge actually went through all the standard SAP data sources like security audit log, the gateway log, the HANA log, all these different data sources. We perform a correlation and aggregation, and we convert, very often very critical alerts into a speaking alert message. Now, these alert messages, we would also send them to FortiSIEM. So also, if you would have a SIEM solution in place from Fortinet, you would again be able to do that full correlation. But now, the same thing is also possible from within SAP. Now, if I would click on a single event, then this is going to get me all the context information for that very specific event. And so, Julian, we see it was done by you. You've communicated through FortiGate. We see your IP address. If we scroll down, we also see, you've done it already 8 times today. So you've been exploring a little bit, I assume, just before this. Now, if I would go into the timeline, this is where SecurityBridge allows us to correlate, and we would see what part you have been taken within our SAP demo lab. And we can see that if you've done an RFC install and run, or you've even tried to display the SAP directories. I assume you've done an AL11 or something. You've tried to execute an OS command. And so we actually get to see what you have been doing. Now, if we go back to the event overview, now clearly we could just drag and drop such a single alert into an incident. It's not active on this, on my browser, it's probably blocking it, but there is a drag and drop feature that allows me to convert an event into a security incident. And that's exactly the depth of information that we today see missing with the majority of the customers that we see. Now, besides event monitoring, the question is also, why has Julian been able to communicate to my SAP system? Was there something wrong with my access control risk, for instance? So for that, we would dive into the hardening part, the security compliance monitor. and exactly, I think you've been targeting one of our development boxes. This view gives me my current security rating in SAP, and I can step by step, using guided procedures, actually start hardening that system by resolving all those, those well-known vulnerabilities. Good. Now, clearly, we will not have enough time today to go through all the capabilities, nor of Fortinet, nor of SecurityBridge. But we wanted to convey you the message that two very strong partners have actually built an alliance to actually build that bridge, where also SAP gains insight into security risks which are targeting the SAP environment. Now, and with that, Christoph, I'm handing it over back to you.
Thank you, Ivan. This is truly exciting. As you said, we are bringing together the network experts and the SAP team to have all information at one central place to form an adequate response. If you could reach your interest, please feel free to reach out to us, to either of the sales experts here, or to Fortinet via the email address sub-request@fortinet.com, or find more information about Fortinet's SAP product portfolio on the URL fortinet.com/SAP. Now, before we wrap up the session, we want to say this is a truly exciting partnership for us. As a matter of fact, it's so exciting that we have even created a short video for you. So I will bring up the video now before we end the session. Have a good day, everyone.
Fortinet and SecurityBridge share the same vision on building one platform to protect their customers from the ever-growing threat of cybercrime. This partnership is a strategic milestone that helps to further our goal to bridging the gap between SAP and network security competence clusters existing in today's organizations. Our goal is to bring together subject matter experts to optimize cross-disciplinary collaboration. Only by combining the power of existing threat intelligence solutions will our customers be able to protect themselves against the rising threat from malicious attacks, insider fraud, and regulatory fines for unintended leakage of privacy data. SecurityBridge connects the SAP stack to the Fortinet platform to empower speed to security for our mutual customers to reduce the time lapse between the detection of an incident and remediation. Threat actors aim to exploit publicly known vulnerabilities within SAP products. The dark web has a wealth of information where attackers can self-educate on exploitation toolkits and scripts. Entrance barriers such as deep technology knowledge are no longer needed. Hacker groups even offer attack as a service via the dark net. Customers using the Fortinet next-generation firewall FortiGate are protecting their SAP instances by the power of an intelligent intrusion prevention system that is able to identify malicious network traffic. The moment an attacker runs an exploitation, the FortiGate IPS recognizes the attack. While the network team is made aware of the ongoing attack, reaching out to the SAP Competence Center is still a manual activity. Consequently, this involves time lapses before the alert level is raised, and the malicious activities within the SAP technology stack can be investigated. The integration between Fortinet's FortiGate and SecurityBridge threat detection removes this barrier and provides instant intelligence to the SAP security team about the attack at the moment it was captured by the next generation firewall. Knowing that the SAP system is targeted by a threat actor enables the SAP teams to start a proactive investigation and initiates the containment measures. The combination of Fortinet's next-generation firewall with the application security platform SecurityBridge defines a logical evolution, enabling two powerful platforms to speak to each other, bringing exponential security benefits to our mutual clients.